What's up, internet comic book fam and true believers? Welcome back to another video. It is that time of week where we sit down and take a look at all the books that we picked up at our local comic shop this week on New Comic Book Day. I did just that, returning from my local comic book shop. Stack of comics a little bit higher, wallet just a little bit lighter this week, as this was a lighter end week for me. So not a lot of pickups, but still some great stuff to go through. So without further ado, what do you say we get into talking about the books I picked up this week and let you know what I thought about them? And hopefully you'll let me know in the comment section below what you're picking up, what you're reading, and if you have suggestions on things that I should be reading that I'm not currently. Starting off with my pick of the week, we're going to go with our third installment of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Power Rangers, or Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, however you want to display it. But this is volume 3, issue 1. The crossover sensation is back for a third epic adventure. With Rita and Krang defeated, the bad guys aren't cutting the Rangers or Turtles no slack. Lord Zed and Shredder have a new plan to take down the radical teen heroes, and if they don't act carefully, they just might succeed. This is my pick of the week because as an 80s kid who grew up in the late 80s and 90s, this crossover combines two of my childhood loves in Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. This issue starts kind of at the end of the last one where it picked up, where we have Leonardo and Tommy fighting a mixture of Foot Clan and Putties. They're not doing so hot. They talk about how they found themselves in this situation because they let the rest of their team down. Then we go backwards 3 weeks and we find out that the groups have been split up. They're fighting in teams. They're fighting monsters and all these threats that are being unleashed on the earth by Lord Zed and Shredder. So Tommy and Raphael concoct this plan that to find out what Shredder and Zed have planned, they have to go to the moon and kind of do some scouting. So they do just that, but in their scouting mission, they get found out. And we're getting into spoilers here, so if you haven't read this book yet and you want to read it, go ahead and skip off this. We're getting into spoiler territory, but we find out that Shredder and Lord Zed's plan involve morphers of their own. After Raphael and Tommy are found out, the Shredder unleashes Bebop and Rocksteady on them. And Raphael kind of goes, I've beaten you guys 1,000,000 times. What makes this time any different? I'm going to clobber you. Well, this time that makes it different is Bebop and Rocksteady have morphers. So they morph into Rangers and they proceed to absolutely cook Raphael and Tommy. I mean, Raphael and Tommy stand no chance against a morphed Bebop and Rocksteady. Cut forward a little bit, they get Tommy and Raphael get back up in the form of Jason, Leonardo, and Master Splinter. In the middle of this fight, again, spoiler, we see the last page, Lord Zed absolutely cooks Master Splinter. I mean, Master Splinter bites the dust. Again, if you're reading the main Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line, you know that Master Splinter died a long time ago in that book, and now he's meeting his end here in Turtles Power Rangers. Will he potentially come back? Who knows? But that's kind of where it ends and the issue leaves us, is with Master Splinter getting absolutely cooked by Lord Zed. And it kind of shows us the reaction of Leonardo and Raphael in that moment in time. Amazing book, such a fun read. I can't wait for issue 2, and that's why it picked up my top pick of the week. Moving on to Chasing Amy. Now, this is actually what is Kevin Smith's personal line called Quick Stops, Volume 3, Issue 1. And it's kind of supposed to be, in my understanding, the physical comic book that Holden McNeil made at the end of the movie about his time with Alicia Jones, entitling it Chasing Amy, after Silent Bob gives that rousing speech in the movie about how he's always chasing Amy. What this really turned out to be was a brief recap of the movie. It did not do much for me other than make me really want to watch Chasing Amy again. It was, like I said, a brief recap. There was no new insights, nothing really new to offer from Kevin's point of view, which I was hoping for. But the Kevin Smith fan, and I'm a massive one in me, loves the nostalgia factor, loves the fact that I can actually physically hold a copy of Holden McNeil's Chasing Amy comic in my hand. And it includes that last, panel that you saw in the movie where he says, "I'm sorry, Alyssa, wherever you are." You can hold it in your hand and you have that physical copy that is supposed to be what Holden McNeil wrote. Makes it all worth it for me. And again, Wasn't what I was hoping for, but I was still okay with it nonetheless. Moving on here, we have Transformers number 23, Daniel Warren Johnson's penultimate issue, I believe, into his Transformers story, as I believe his final issue is 24, and then Robert Kirkman and the new creative team take over at 25. I did pick up this cover C 1 in 10 David Nakayama connecting variant. I thought it was a very good cover. This is the last hope of the Autobots exists within the matrix of leadership. But will the Decepticons triumph before those answers are found? Basically, we have the Decepticons making their final push against the Autobots to wipe the humans and Autobots out. Starscream and Megatron are at each other's throats. Starscream wants to charge in. Megatron has other plans. Starscream doesn't listen to Megatron, does so, goes after Optimus, who's been laid out, who's essentially dead, laying on a table, missing an arm, and he makes that play to go put that final nail in Optimus. Megatron proceeds to stop him, and those two's internal bickering starts, and we see that that Optimus Prime finds his way back to life, and the issue ends as we get our final conflict, the beginning, I should say, of our final conflict between Optimus Prime and Megatron and Starscream as we get ready for the end of Daniel Warren Johnson's story and time on this book. It was a great read, a lot of fun. This Transformers book has been absolutely amazing. That's why I'm surprised they're taking Daniel Warren Johnson off this book, but I understand 25 issues. It's time to move on to something else. And I'm sure the book is going to be safe in the hands of Robert Kirkman, who's been absolutely killing it over on Void Rivals. So I'm excited to see what him and his Skybound team have in store for the future of this Transformers franchise. Moving on here, we have Eddie Brock Carnage number 7. I did pick up this J. Scott Campbell Just Spectacular Collection variant this week. I did pick up all the J. Scott Campbell covers. I haven't read them all. Some of them are not books I'm reading. I did pick them up specifically just for J. Scott Campbell's work on this because I'm a huge J. Scott Campbell fan. So when we find Eddie Brock in this issue, if you remember the previous issue, he kind of collapsed and he's in the back of an ambulance and he's passed out, and the ambulance guys are talking about him, and Carnage is coming out of him subconsciously because Carnage has this natural need to kill and murder. So with that going unfulfilled, because Eddie's trying not to do that, when he's unconscious, the symbiote's taking over a mind of itself. So the symbiote starts attacking the ambulance workers and breaks out. And Eddie's near death, and so is Carnage. And they have this internal conflict about how Eddie needs to kill and Carnage needs to kill in order to stay alive. And one can't exist without the other right now because they're bonded. So Eddie and Carnage make this deal to, okay, well, we're in this small town in Colorado. We can go find someone and kill them to save our lives. So then we cut to Chicago, where Muse still is, and he's looking for Eddie Brock. He paints this mural of Eddie Brock on the wall that says, "Have you seen me? Who is he?" He's trying to figure out who burned down his studio. Well, he's confronted by 2 police officers. Muse quickly dispatched one of them with a paint brush to the eye. He gets the other one to tell him, where Eddie is, because they had arrested Eddie previously and he was in the system. So he gets the other cop to tell him who Eddie is and where he is. Then he proceeds to kill them. Then we cut back to Carnage and Eddie, who are trying to find someone to kill, and they come upon a dope dealer, a guy who's selling drugs and cutting it with fentanyl and just doesn't really care because he's all about the Benjamins, right? So in doing that, they make the deal to kill him. Eddie says, "No, Carnage, I don't want you to do it. I want to do it." And in that brief second, Eddie passes out because he waited too long, and Carnage does the deed. And Eddie has this vision when he's passed out of this woman he has to find. He has no idea who she is. So then he comes back. Then he says, "Carnage, what's going on?" And Carnage said, "I did it. You passed out. I took care of it. Don't worry, Eddie. I got your back." Eddie's like, "I want to see." So they go to where the drug dealer's dead. Eddie picks up his phone, starts doing some research, asks Carnage if he's got money anywhere and that they need to find out. And Eddie and Carnage start to, I'm assuming, their next adventure, and we're going to get that face off between Eddie and Carnage and Muse very, very soon. But that's kind of where that issue ended, is Carnage trying to get an explanation from Eddie of like, what's going on? Why do you care about this guy's phone? Why do you need money? And he says, "You're really not going to explain to me, Eddie, after everything I just did for you." And Eddie said, "Honestly, Carnage, I'd tell you if I could. I'm trying to remember." And that's kind of where we got lift off on that cliffhanger right there. And then we get moved into Spider-Man and Wolverine #4. I did just pick up this A cover on this book. This has been a fun little book going back and forth. I mean, of course, you remember that Peter found out that Wolverine was the reason his spy parents, or super spy parents, if you will, were killed in the plane crash. So this issue picks up with Wolverine and Spider-Man fighting Doc Ock on the Great Wall of China. And every time they start fighting, they get transported somewhere else. So Wolverine and Doc Ock start going at it as Ock whips Spider-Man away. And as Spider-Man's trying to make his comeback, he gets teleported away again, this time back into New York City. So we see Doc Ock and Wolverine still going at it. So as Spider-Man's teleported back to New York City, he comes face to face again with Dread Shadow. And Spider-Man and Dread Shadow start going back and forth, and Dread Shadow is absolutely working Spider-Man. Spider-Man proceeds to rip off his mask, still doesn't know who Dread Shadow is, and they're going back and forth. He works out this plan to get these teleporters off of them, adjust it so it stops teleporting them. He then proceeds to teleport Logan to him as he's fighting Dr. Ock. Ock comes with them, and at the end of it, Logan is attacked by a woman that we only see with Wolverine-esque claws, but we see it from the back. It turns around to be Teresa Parker, Peter Parker's sister. And she's again attacking Logan, saying, "You killed my parents." And she's got bullets that are made from a blade that is the only thing that can really hurt Wolverine. And she shoots him, and that's where it ends, on that giant cliffhanger. And this really cool shot, full page shot of Wolverine being shot. So I'm excited to see what the next issue picks up on this in issue 5. Hopefully we get more information about these characters and what's really going on. And when I say these characters, I'm specifically talking more about God, his name's escaping me. I just said his name too, and now it's escaping me. Dread Shadow. Get more information about Dread Shadow, who he is, and why he's so obsessed with Peter Parker and Logan, and see really like if we get to the truth in the bottom of, was Logan really responsible for Peter Parker's parents dying, because Peter's still very much conflicted about all of that and how that's going. And then for our last book that we picked up this week, we got Predator Kills the Marvel Universe. So this is the culmination of all those Spider-Man versus Predator, Predator versus Black Panther, yada 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 books, right? So what's going on is this: we pick up this book with Rocket and the Guardians of the Galaxy flying through space. They get a mayday. They get a distress signal. They answer to the distress signal, and they're coming in, and this ship radios back to them saying, this ship radios back to them saying, "We've broken down. We need help. Please help us." So they go and they answer to the distress signal. The rest of the Guardians are like, "Do we need to come, or do we need help?" And Rocket and Peter are like, "Nah, I think it's all right." Drax is like, "Do I need to kill anybody?" In true Drax fashion. And Peter's like, "Nah, I think it's all right. It's just a distress signal. We're going to go see what's going on." When they get on the ship, the minute they're looking around, they're like, "Oh, hello." Then we cut to Peter Quill, and we see the 3 dots from the Predator laser show up in his chest, and Rocket as well. And Rocket's like, "What the?" And he screams, "Quill." And then we see Peter Quill just get absolutely cooked as he takes a shot to the chest. Pause. All right. Then we see Rocket Raccoon laying there over Quill's dead body. Then we get a shot of the Predator heat vision, and Rocket proceeds to run away. The rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy are getting ready to come in and save the day, and they are just absolutely decimated. Drax is beheaded, Groot's shot apart, and Gamora's ripped to pieces. Then we get to see who's leading this predator hunting party. And spoiler alert again, if you haven't read this book, the leader of this hunting party is none other than Kraven the Hunter, which ties into the Predator versus Spider-Man stuff. Then we get a shot of kind of back to Earth to kind of see what's going on with everything. And we find out through this research center that the humans have made a predator, or taken a predator of their own, and I don't know, remade it or whatever, as kind of like they did with Wolverine and the Weapon X X project, we get Predator X. We get that quick shot of Predator X wearing the Weapon X helmet and all that, if I could talk. Then we cut to outer space and back on the Predator ship, and we kind of get the explanation of after the events of Predator versus Spider-Man, Kraven has joined the Predators and he's being trained by them. And of course, the Predators and the King Predator and his son are all outsourced with this new vibranium weapons that they got from Black Panther versus Predator story. And so now they're going to proceed to hunt their ultimate prey in all the Marvel heroes and villains. So we get this display of Kraven showing all the heroes, and we see Punisher, Daredevil, Wolverine, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, Black Panther, Doctor Doom, Thor, everyone. Just everyone's on this screen here. So they're saying that they're going to go track and attack and kill and hunt all of the Marvel heroes, the entire Marvel universe, except for Spider-Man. Kraven specifically says, "This trophy belongs to me." So then we cut to the moon where the Fantastic Four are, and they're having a conversation about coffee and, kind of whatever. And Kraven's explaining, Reed Richards is the smartest man in the world, and Sue Storm might be the most powerful human on Earth, and how they may be weak individually, but they're stronger together as a family. And we see just Reed Richards is extending. He's trying to give Ben Grimm his coffee, add sugar to his coffee, and we just see him start screaming in pain, and his arm is missing. His arm has been chopped off. The rest of the Fantastic Four leap up and they get ready to attack, and then we see them go into heat vision, and they all start getting attacked by these Predators. Johnny Storm flames on and heads into action. Well, he gets lassoed by one of the Predators and essentially choked out. Ben Grimm, they say Ben Grimm is indestructible. He can't be beaten. So they kind of dispatch him by sending him floating into space. And then we get a shot of 5 Predators led by Kraven the Hunter attacking the Fantastic Four. So they dispatch Ben Grimm into space to remove him from the board. Reed Richards and Sue Storm are making a break for it, where Sue is trying to save Reed's life. Reed says, "I'm losing blood. By my calculations, I've lost 2 pints of blood, or 2 liters, of blood, and I'm not going to make it." And he whispers that the only thing that could have cut him, and due to his stretchiness, is vibranium. And Sue Storm and Reed Richards say their finally goodbyes as Reed Richards dies in Sue Storm's arms. And that's where this issue ends, is her telling him to rest and rest easy, my love. And we get a shot of him dying in the hallway in her arms with the earth in the background, foreshadowing what's next. And in the next issue, Extinction Event. I'm super excited for issue 2. I thought this was a really good issue, a really good way to start. Super intriguing that they, brought all these together, and to see Kraven the Hunter kind of leading this group of Predators in the ultimate hunt. Very interesting direction for that character, but I'm super excited for issue 2, and I can't read more. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. That's it. That is all the books I read this week. That's everything I picked up. That's my breakdown of all of it. I really liked what I read this week. For a week where normally I'm spending, 50, 60 bucks on books, that I only spent like 25 this week. It was a pretty light week for me. Great books, great stuff from Marvel, great stuff from Boom, great stuff from Skybound this week. All the heavy hitters. Let me know in the comment section below what you picked up this week. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if there's something I'm not reading that I should be. Let me know what you thought of everything that I talked about today, if you read it, and let me know what your pick of the week was. But that'll do it for this week's pickups. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time around the spinner rack.